If you are over 50, then in strict evolutionary terms, you're supposed to be dead. At almost any other time in history, the chances are you would be. Our kind has been on this planet more than 250,000 years, yet only in the last 100 or so years has it become common to get past 40.
So, unless you are lucky enough to be blessed with absolutely perfect genes, the challenge for our generation is to stay fit and healthy as we age. In this video, I'm going to give you a simple test you can do at home in real time while you are watching to see whether you ought to increase the number of activities in the mix that you do. It is the first day of January 2024. And I'm going to start the year with a mini triathlon. But in this video, we're going to talk about a much greater activity diet than just swimming, cycling, and running.
I try to swim outdoors year-round, but surprisingly, it's not the swimming that's most beneficial. Loch Sonnaght here on Scotland's west coast is currently about 4 degrees. And all of these people who've turned out for what in Scotland is called the Loony Duke on New Year's Day could benefit from their brief dip. Because it's believed it's the initial cold shock, the thing that elicits the involuntary gasp of air, that is enough to trigger those health benefits. You could get the same by turning a shower to cold. A medical review of all the available literature found it is clear that there is increasing scientific support that voluntary exposure to cold water may have some beneficial health effects. Now, the precise degree of benefit and the mechanisms involved have not yet been fully explained. And of course, there are going to be risks associated with it too. A massive thank you if you're one of the hundreds of people who've commented on videos in this series and shared how many miles you cycle, especially if you're older than me. The bike is your happy place, but unless you are blessed with brilliant genes, cycling alone is not enough to mitigate the inevitable decline in hormones and more. The advice is to mix it up. The benefits of resistance training are genuine and proven. Increased muscle mass, stronger bones, more testosterone and human growth hormone levels. There are 3 videos in this series offering a place to start with some expert advice currently being planned. Spikes in blood sugar are hugely damaging, especially just before bed. There's a video in the series looking at food planning to avoid this. Sleep is fantastic for the older athletes, especially if you avoid alcohol, which disrupts REM sleep. Monitor your vitamin D level, but if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, in winter, you'll need to supplement. You'll already know it takes longer to recover, so give yourself longer and aim to reduce general levels of stress. All of these can be achieved by mixing up your activities.
Because remember, on a bike, you're pretty much moving in one plane. Your legs are pumping up and down, but there's little lateral movement. Your spine and upper body are fairly firmly fixed in one position. And really, for health, you've not got to neglect their flexibility. Okay, well that's the bike done. Let me show you this test that I was talking about. If you're between 50 and 80, you should try this, because a 2012 study showed that the lower you score in this test, the greater the likelihood of you dying in the next 6 years. Because you don't only need aerobic capacity and cardiac efficiency, you also need flexibility, agility and balance, and this tests those very, very simply. The idea is you start with 10 points and you go to the ground and sit cross-legged. If you have to put a hand down or an elbow down or your knee down to get up, any of those, you lose 1 point. And the goal is to score over 8. 8 and over is good. Anything below that is a bit of a problem. If you can go down, sit down and stand up, like I can, that's a perfect 10. So I'm all right for now.
From vitamin D exposure to active recovery, walking is a brilliant activity, especially off-road, on uneven surfaces and at a brisk pace. If it's too easy, add weight into an old rucksack. This is called rucking, and hike to your nearest hill. Our little dog Maggie is my regular training companion. Over winter, when the cycling is less pleasant, we play badminton, but it could be any sport. The score is not important. It's the mixed movement that is physically beneficial and the social aspect of meeting other people. It cannot be ignored. And while we're talking mixed movement, I try to do a yoga session each week to maintain balance and flexibility. We like Eckhart Yoga's classes, but there are loads of free classes on YouTube. Which takes us to the run part of my New Year's Day triathlon. In 2017, I had stopped running altogether. A knee injury forced me to pull out of an Ironman, and I couldn't shake it off. 3 years later, my pal Donnie Campbell sent me to his physiotherapist, and lots of rehab later, I slowly embarked on a couch to 5K program, walking more than running.
There are many people who will tell you that running is bad for your knees, and I'm sure for some people with certain conditions it is, in which case don't do it. But I now find I can use running as a complement to my cycling, and I really enjoy it, provided I always run off-road in good shoes and I moderate the frequency, intensity and duration of those runs. I find it helps with my proprioception, the idea of balance, because when you're running you're only ever on one leg, and that's a really, really useful thing, as well as improving leg strength. Plus it's good for your speed of reactions, because you're constantly adjusting to the rough ground underneath. And it's much better to get out for a run than it is a cycle ride on a day like today when it's raining. All of this is why I'd encourage you to increase your activities mix in 2024, and winter is a great time to start. But what have I forgotten? What activities do you do that I should have included in this? Let me know in the comments. And how did you get on the sit down, stand up test? How did you score? Again, let me know in the comments. Now there might be a little bit of a break until the next videos, because I'm looking for some experts who can talk to strength and a few more things as well, and they have to be good and they have to be able to talk on camera. So I'm looking out for those, but do stay with me, consider even joining the channel, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.